All right, hello folks. We're going to take a quick look at the markets this morning. Got two pieces of news to look at. This is Argentina swearing that they're not going to print money anymore. They're at 60% inflation. Of course, if you understand money, it is the printing of money that creates inflation. It's a direct correlation. It's one and the same thing. And of course, if you dig into this article, their solution, instead of printing money, they're going to borrow money, which is just as bad. If you look at the history of countries borrowing money, they go to the IMF, BIS, etc. They borrow money and then they pledge infrastructure from the country against the loan. And then ultimately they end up defaulting on the loan and some other foreign entity ends up controlling the infrastructure of the country. And it's happened in a number of countries. And typically it's critical infrastructure like water treatment plants. So anyway, that's Argentina, not going to print money anymore. This is Spain. This is their second solution. So earlier in the week, one of their politicians came out and said, oh, don't wear a tie. That was their solution to the energy crisis, is don't wear ties anymore. And then you can pretend that you're not sweating. And then today they're coming out. Now they're going to mandate, this is countrywide, they're mandating maximum and minimum temperatures. And so you can't run the air conditioning any cooler than 80 degrees. And then in the winter, you can't go any warmer than 66. So cold in the winter, hot in the summer, that's their solution to the energy crisis. Might think about turning the gas pipelines back on, but that's just me. Let's jump right into the charts. This is gold in the monthly time frame. We can see that gold has bounced off a horizontal support level. It's also the lower median line extension of this shift pitchfork. So we're getting a nice bounce. Obviously last month we got a long lower wick. That's a bullish sign. Price hanging out, right at the close from last month. Energy is low. MACD is in bull mode, which suggests that the primary trend remains upwards, but currently on a sell signal. In the weekly time frame, we could say basically all of the charts we're going to look at this morning, everything's pushing into resistance. And so gold is no different, pushing into resistance at the upside or the top end of this downward sloping channel. Also pushing into resistance at the 10-week moving average. Just a lot of resistance. Obviously, we can see this upper wick on this candle. We've got a pullback from that resistance level. MACD is in bear mode. Histogram is hinting that MACD wants to turn back upward, but currently still on a sell signal, still in bear mode. Energy rising, still at a low range. Notice that this is a technical downtrend. So if we start from this high, we've got a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Unfortunately, I suspect that this is another lower low, and price is turning back lower at this point. Hopefully I'll be proved wrong on this, but this just looks like it was another counter trend rally in this ongoing downtrend with another leg lower in works. If we drop down to the daily time frame, same thing, resistance. So we've got the median line of this shift pitchfork. Price is pushing through that level, trying to push through that level. We've got the 50-day moving average. Currently, price is finding support on the 50-day, but pushing into this 1800, that's a round number, and oftentimes round numbers act as support and resistance level, currently acting as resistance, obviously. It's also a horizontal support resistance level. So we can see support, support, support fails, and here we are testing it from below as resistance. MACD is mostly in bear mode on a buy signal currently in the daily time frame. Energy is elevated. So, gold is certainly poised to move higher. It could certainly push higher from here, and obviously that's what we'd like to see happen. But dealing with a lot of resistance at this point. Silver, we're just going to look at the daily time frame. Again, lots of resistance, 50-day moving average, horizontal support resistance level, upper median line extension of this Andrews pitchfork. MACD is in bear mode on a buy signal, energy is elevated. So again, silver could push higher. Need to see it push through this resistance, and multiple layers of resistance here that I want to see silver push above, and then we'll see where it wants to go next. Let's look at the dollar. This is the dollar in the monthly time frame. Dollar's still moving higher. I mean, obviously we've had a pullback. We can see last month's candle, we got this big upper wick after it pulled back from this resistance level, but back to pushing higher again. MACD remains in bull mode on a buy signal. Energy is very elevated. In the weekly time frame, we've got the dollar bouncing off support. And if you're a breakout trader, you look at this as breakout, and now we've got a pullback to the breakout level and appear to be getting a bounce at this point based on the lower wick of that candle. We're also bouncing off of the 10-week moving average. MACD is hard into bull mode, currently on a buy signal. Energy very elevated. So dollar's strong, remains strong, and of course, as I point out, this is the dollar strong relative to the 6 currencies in the basket that make up the dollar index. In the daily time frame, we can see this modified shift pitchfork is doing a very nice job of describing the price action. We're pulling back from that upper median line. We can see that the dollar interacted with the median line both as support and as resistance. Now we've gotten a pullback all the way to the lower median line and a bounce, and currently bouncing higher using that lower median line as support, also getting support on the 50-day moving average. MACD is in bull mode, which suggests that the primary trend is upwards, currently on a sell signal. Energy is elevated and rising sharply. We've had obviously today a strong move upwards in the dollar, and of course that's affecting the precious metals. Let's take a quick look at the mining stocks. And of course, GDXJ, that's my proxy for the mining stock sector. Here in the monthly time frame, we can see price bouncing off. It's the lower channel marker, this upward sloping channel. We got a bounce last month, fairly long tail, lower tail on that candle, and then price hanging out at the level of last month's close. MACD is in bear mode on a sell signal. Energy is very low. So we're getting a bounce off of support. Oh, notice we've also got this downward sloping channel that last month's candle bounced from that level as well. So some encouraging signs at the monthly level. If we look at the weekly level, it's same story. We're pushing into multiple layers of resistance. We've got the 10-week moving average. We've got the median line of this modified shift pitchfork. MACD is in bear mode on a sell signal. Energy is very low. So not encouraging in the weekly time frame on mining stocks. And of course, if price can push through the median line and the 10-week moving average, it's got this horizontal support resistance level just overhead. So a lot of resistance to deal with. Here in the daily time frame, same story, lots of resistance, finding support on the 20-day moving average, pushing into the upper median line of this shift pitchfork, resistance at the 50-day moving average, minor resistance at this horizontal support here, and then resistance. So we got a horizontal support resistance level. We've also got a Fibonacci retracement from this point as the high, this point as the low. Currently, we're at the 38% retracement and pushing into resistance at that level. So we really need to see the precious metals sector, both the metals and the mining stocks, push through resistance if they're intending to move higher. And of course, we're transitioning into the positive seasonal aspect for the precious metals. Summer doldrums, typically we get a low in July and then start heading higher into August and September. So certainly the appropriate time of year to get a upward movement in precious metals, but currently stalled out at resistance. Bitcoin, I like to keep an eye on, just bumping sideways, being squeezed between support at the 20-day moving average and resistance at the 50-day. MACD is almost up into bull mode, currently on a buy signal. Energy is elevated. So Bitcoin could move higher, but just bumping sideways for now. Interest rates, in my opinion, interest rates, the natural trend in interest rates right now is upwards. The markets want to take interest rates higher. The central banks don't. And so we got a battle going on between the central banks and what the market wants to do. Obviously, for the last, 3-4 trading weeks, we've had the central banks out buying debt hand over fist. That's how we got this big move in the 10-year yield. This was Tuesday, and now today, these big, strong upward candles, in my opinion, that's the natural market. As soon as the central banks step back from the market, they stop buying, the market comes in and tries to take rates higher. MACD is in bear mode. Looks like MACD is trying to give us a new buy signal. Energy is elevated and rising sharply. So equity markets, so they've moved higher as the central banks have taken interest rates lower. The equity markets have rebounded, but same story. They're pushing into resistance. As we can see, this is extended median line from this shift pitchfork. Price is finding resistance at that level, pulling back into this horizontal support resistance level. MACD is in bull mode on a buy signal. Energy is very elevated. So stocks are certainly poised to move higher, but today they're just kind of putzing sideways. We had a strong jobs report today that's affecting markets as well today. In the Dow, again, pushing into resistance. This is the upper median line extension of this modified shift pitchfork. MACD in bull mode on a buy signal, energy very elevated. So again, this week, just mostly bumping sideways, pushing into this resistance level. So NASDAQ's looking a little bit better. It's pushed above its most recent resistance level, kind of hanging out in midair, doing a sideways shuffle. MACD in bull mode on a buy signal, energy is elevated. That's all I've got for charts today. The next set of charts I'm going to look at, I'm going to take another look at the basket of currencies that make up the dollar. So that'll be the next video, and I will talk to you soon, folks.